Today we are going to paint daffodil flowers. For this we need, I chose two different brushes here. One is number 4 filbert brush, and this one is angled brush, probably number 4. Look at my brushes. I have overused these brushes this year, and of course I didn't take good care of my brushes, and this coating material here is peeling off, probably because I soaked these brushes in water for too long, or maybe they were not manufactured right. For colors, I have these colors: ultramarine blue, burnt umber, medium green, primary yellow, any kind of orange, and any kind of warm red, and I have white here. If you see that original painting there, this first flower is a little above midpoint. So the center of the flower will be about here. I'm using white. Okay. And let's do this small flower. That one is 1, 2, 3, about a little above a third way from the bottom. So 1, 2, so a little below, and it's on the center. This way, it's in the middle. It's in the middle, but about less than, no, it's a little above the third way. Of course, it doesn't need to be exact. The center of the flower is going to be something like that. The flower goes like that, and something like that. Okay, and the second one is you make circle here, not circle, you make some round line here, and then the middle flower is here, the center is about here, and the flower is like this, that, and this flower. I don't know if you can see this okay. But as long as you can see this, as long as the artists who are doing this can see this, that's okay. You don't need to make line. Actually, not you don't need to. You better make the line as light as possible so only you can see. Okay, so that flower is done, and okay, I had to fix the first, the middle flower stuck a little, so let me erase that line here. Okay, that's good. Okay, that's about here. Why don't we put some white paint on flowers? The reason why we put white is because when you put yellow on dark background, yellow is kind of a transparent, and you cannot see yellow on darker background. So it's good idea to make the canvas bright using white. Then later you can add more. You can add yellow, or I may end up putting more white here to brighten it up more. When you have too much paint on the brush, you wipe it out and then go to the canvas with a little less paint. When you have too much paint, it makes thick line and it may look a little ugly. I did it on these petals, so I kind of in the middle I had to smooth it out to remove a thick line. And don't mess with the paint so much. When it's about halfway dry, it's going to peel off the paint. Okay, now I have a little too much paint, so I wipe it out here and then go to the middle flower. Oh, by the way, I'm using angled brush here. I'm not trying to stick inside the line really perfectly. This brush, as I said, is kind of a ruined old brush, so it goes anyway it wants to go, and I'm okay with that because it'll make painting more interesting. Here's another funny thing. You know, to artists, eyes are really important. You have to have a really good eyesight. Now I feel my eyesight is not very good. I cannot see objects very close to me, and sometimes I need to take my glasses off. But now I chose not to, because if I see it very well, I will try to paint really perfect. So I'm kind of taking advantage of having bad eyesight. Does it make sense? Just to loosen up my painting. Sometimes I do very detailed painting, some realistic paintings. It's good to have a good eyesight, but this kind of casual painting, you don't need to have a very good eyesight. You just do here and there, and then see how that casual painting turns out to be. Okay, now we do the flower stalks and the stems. On top of flower stalks here and there's part of a flower with a little orangish color. And orange doesn't show up so well either on dark background. So what I'm doing is I am mixing white with a little orange and then put on here like that. Okay, the same thing here. It's a little orangish and Later we are going to add a little green here too, like that. Okay, let me wash the brush and we can do the leaves. Greens are not all the same green, so those leaves may have a little darker spots and lighter spots, something like that. So let me start with some darker ones. So now I have ultramarine blue with medium green mixed, and let me do the leaf in the back. There's another one in the back. I'm still mixing a little ultramarine blue to green. I'm still using angled brush. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect. Acrylic painting has many layers. So if things don't turn out to be right on the first try, you add up more colors and things will look better later. If you make a mistake, there's paper towel. So my flower stalk is not straight. Of course, it doesn't need to be perfect, but it kind of looked too much distorted. Okay, that's about right. And let's go to the next flower stalk. Okay, and this little thing here. I have a little orange with a little white. Probably the dog is going to hide this area here, but in case it's not going to happen, let me do it kind of right. And we have I think this flower stalk is too fat, so let me erase a little here. This is one good thing about acrylic painting. You can correct mistake this way if the paint is not so dry yet. Okay, now we'll do the leaves a little later after we do these leaves, because that flower is in front of those flowers. So we now we go back to the flowers, and let me use yellow and white. I don't mix paint so perfect here, So put some yellow here. More yellow. So I'm putting primary yellow with a little more white. Still doing the same thing, just yellow and white. So if we didn't have white as first layer here, we will not have this bright flower, bright yellow flower here. Okay, we move to the next flower. So doing the same thing, I'm adding yellow and a little white to this first layer. By the way, direction is kind of important. Not all the time. If you are doing super abstract painting or very loose painting, you may ignore the direction. But for this one, this petal goes this way. So you want to go your brush this way rather than painting this way. It's going to look unnatural if the brush goes that way. Okay, here it's a little weird. So let me erase some mistake there. Or you can just leave it the way it is. Okay, more yellow and a little white. Paper towel. Okay, the next flower. Okay, and now we go back to the leaves. If the leaves are only halfway dry, don't touch them. You can hair dry them and then restart. So I'm washing the brush. Now let's brighten up the leaves a little. The leaves look a little dark. Why don't we do the flower stalk first? That one is a little darker than the leaves. So I added ultramarine blue to medium green. And we do the same thing here. Okay, so we are using medium green to brighten up the leaves. Okay, now I'm going to add a little yellow into the green and then brighten up the leaves a little more. Or you can add one more leaf somewhere. I think I'm going to add a leaf somewhere here because I don't like this angle here. This leaf kind of has a little unnatural looking angle. So let me put medium green, yellow together and then make a leaf coming from here that way. Okay. Now I'm adding a little white and I got a little yellow and a little green. And I want to kind of highlight the leaves a little. Am I making everything the same as reality? No, I'm not. I'm just doing it for fun. When I took picture of my dog with these flowers, it was kind of a cloudy spring day and there was not much contrast between light and shadow. But if you want, you can put more highlight and highlight some places with pure white, just a little, to make it more interesting and more three-dimensional, like that, just a little. And to separate this front leaf from the back one, you can put a little highlight here too. Probably this brush is not a good brush now, so I'm changing to filbert brush, and I got a little white, and this white goes to a little too much. Okay, I put a little too much highlight, so what I do is I rinse out that angled brush and then wipe out excessive amount of white. Okay, I will work on it again later because the paint is halfway dry and it's about to be messed up, so I stopped touching that area. And I'm using wet angled brush again to smooth it out. Okay, that looks not so bad. And this area, there's a part of a flower that used to cover the flower bud, so that's what I'm putting here. Let me put a little burnt umber there. And put a little orange back. And this area is unusually too bright, so we are going to darken that area with a little burnt umber and orange. I think we can try that, and if it doesn't work we can add some more colors. Okay, I'm going to add a little yellow too. Again, orange and burnt umber here. And I'm going to add a little white. It's not showing, so I'm adding a little white here. And more burnt umber. And orange. And yellow maybe also. Okay. Okay, I'm mixing orange with a little red to make the center of the flower. Okay, now we need a little yellow and a little orange. Too much orange. Okay, yellow and a little bit of orange. And we darken near the center of the flower. There's some greenish color in the middle of the flower, so I'm adding a little green into yellow and get in there with that green. Okay, and there's a little green in the shadow also, so I'm adding a little green here. Okay, why don't I have a little red? It's too red, so let me wipe it out. Okay, we can fix it later. Let me move to the next flower. There's a little orange and red. And in the center, there's a little green with the yellow. Maybe a little more green. Okay. And I got orange, and I mix orange with a little yellow, and we are going over we're near where we put green. Okay. And we move to the last flower. This flower will have the least detail, so you just do whatever you like. I just mixed a little orange into yellow, and in the center there's more orange and some red. And I'm going to put a little green with the yellow here and there. Okay, now we go back to the first flower where I messed up. So let me put a little yellow back here. I kind of removed the yellow there, so I need to add a little white because yellow will look transparent, so I need to add a little yellow with, I need to add a little white into yellow, and I get a little orange here too. Okay, that's good. And then we need to go back to the place where I had a mistake and make the center. It's too red, do you think? Okay, so I'm putting less red and put more orange here. Okay. Sometimes it's better to stop when you have to stop. If you overdo it, things may get worse. Okay, so I'm putting a little yellow and green to the center. Maybe a little more green. Okay, green there and green there too. Okay, that looks more interesting. Why don't I put a little green there and there too? Okay, that's good. And now we can still brighten up more leaves here if you like, or just leave it the way it is. Oh, anyway, we need to fix that area. Okay, now I got a little orange and a little white. And again, orange and white. And I would put a little burnt umber. Orange and white again. This area looks a little too bright, so I'm adding a little red into orange, and maybe I'm adding a little burnt umber too. Hey, too much. Okay, right here, that's about right. Okay. Okay, this third flower, probably this will be hidden by the dog, so we don't need to do it so well. That's good. Why don't we add a little more yellow to the leaves? So I have yellow and a little bit of white and a little bit of green. Okay. It's too much. And let me change the brush. This brush is too sharp for leaves. I want to loosen up the leaves. Okay, green, yellow, and just a little white. Okay. A little more yellow. So I'm adding a little more yellow here and there to make the painting look more happy. Okay, we are kind of done with these flowers here. So now we can have leaves for this flower. Okay, let me grab medium green, ultramarine blue, and we do the same thing as we did there. Okay, while we wait for these leaves dry, why don't we add highlight to the flowers and the leaves of the back, this one in the back. Okay, I got some white. Okay, this petal here has to be a little yellow. It's just, this petal is kind of hiding here, so let me put a little white into yellow, and okay, that's good. Then okay, some people may ask, where is the sunlight? Well, of course it's on top somewhere there, and there could be some scattered light from somewhere else. So I'm not so much worried about where exactly the sunlight is. Some paintings, yes, you have to know exactly where the sunlight is to make painting very realistic. If you are interested, you can watch my previous YouTube video of painting water drops, raindrops. On the tutorial, it is very important where you put highlight, because water drops have a lot of highlights, and that painting was very realistic one, so it's important to have to know where the sunlight is. But this one, it's very casual, and it was cloudy day. The light could be all scattering from everywhere, and I'm not so worried about putting exact highlight. Okay, as long as the painting looks happy, I'm happy. Okay, now the leaves can have a little more highlight. Now my white paint is too dry. Let me get a little white here. Okay, I got more white, and I'm adding a little highlight here and there. If you put too much white, you can smooth it out using other brush. Wet the brush a little, and then just smooth it out. Or completely erase it and redo it. Okay, I have a guest coming in, so let me check the guest into the room and I'll be right back. Okay, I just checked in a customer and we are going back to painting. I just realized I replayed the movie I just made. It's nighttime here, and because of this illumination, these flowers I painted look brighter. They look more whiter. Let me pick the flowers up. See, if there's not much light, it looks less bright, less white. But under the light, it's kind of exaggerated. It looks too white, but that's not how it looks like. Okay, now we finish these leaves here. I have green and yellow. So now again, there's too much highlight, so I'm erasing it. Okay, that looks better. Okay, so let me show you what happened. If you put too much highlight like that, you can erase it with the other brush with a little water on it, so it'll look more natural. Okay, why don't we wait until these leaves dry and then we can do another layer on the leaves, and we'll be done with these flowers. Okay, I couldn't wait until the leaves dry, so I used my hair dryer and dried the leaves. Okay, now we do the final layer on the leaves. I had green and yellow. Maybe I had too much yellow. Did I have white too? It looks like I had white also. Too much white. Okay, let me erase some white. Or I can put some green back. Just pure green without adding other colors. Let me do it that way. Just green. Yeah. I'm adding some ultramarine blue to the green to darken it a little. Okay. And green and yellow here. Green and yellow. Are you falling asleep? You know, when I watch other artists' tutorials, I fall asleep almost always. And it seems like I'm making you fall asleep too. Because painting itself is quite, I think it's peaceful and some tranquil thing to do. Maybe that's why you can fall asleep while the tutorial. Well, I think it's good. Maybe I would consider it as a compliment if you fall asleep on my tutorial. I don't know. It could be an excuse. I'm sorry if I am making you fall asleep. Oh my. It happened to me when I watch my own tutorial. I fall asleep. I really do. My own voice is so sleepy when I do painting, because I think I know what it is. I am too much focused on painting, so my energy level on my voice goes down. So it makes you feel a little sleepy. Okay. Let me change the brush to filbert. My angled brush is too much split. I ruined the brush too much. So that was giving me a little hard time. Okay, and then too much highlight can be removed or smoothed out using other brush. Okay, that's about done. Later, if I find more problem, I can fix it later. And this area looks a little unnatural. And if you see the original painting, there are leaves. In fact, in reality, there were dead leaves from the winter. So that's what it is. There are dead leaves like that here. So that's what we can do next time. And after that, we can put a dog right there, like this. Channing, can you come here? Oh, my baby. My baby. My baby Channing is going to go right there, right there. Say hello to the camera, Channing.